Hello guys and welcome to my subtlety guide for 7.3.2 in the PVE section. My name is Squiggle and I wanted to talk to you guys today about why subtlety is probably the best spec that you're going to be running for mythic progression. Now, I was a bit on the outlaw train for a little bit just to change up the scenery, have a little bit of fun here and there. But if you want to be getting a nice raid spot, you want to be DPSing down adds nice and quickly, you want to have some nice consistent damage, then sub is probably the best spec to be looking for. Now, as previously stated, the thing that Subtlety Rogue gives to a raid team is a lot of burst, single target, and AoE damage on command. Now, Assassination Rogue, it can do a lot of burst, however it requires you to save your cooldowns quite a bit, and it requires you to get some good procs on your poison bomb. Same with Outlaw, you just need some very good RNG to do damage to the things that need to die. Whereas Subtlety Rogue, every 25 seconds you can pretty much blow something up, do 8 million eviscerates, and yeah, it does a lot of damage. On top of this, you might be wondering why a lot of top guilds are running Subtlety Rogues at the moment for namely the last 3 fights. And the reason for these isn't because of their damage per se, it's more about their survivability and their ability to absorb damage and still survive. For example, you could say that cheat death is like having a battle res that doesn't actually use up a battle res. Like if you think of it that way, rogues are just by far the best melee in the game. Maybe until you get to damage pushes, they might not be as good, but this tier is a lot more about just surviving and doing damage that way. For talents, we want to be running Master of Subtlety, Night Stalker, Deepest Stratagem, Dark Shadow, and Death from Above. I recommend Cheat Death to the average player. There might be situations where you want to be running Elusiveness or Soothing Darkness, but Cheat Death 90% of the time should be fine. And as for this row here, well, they don't really matter too much unless you've got ads that need to be CC'd. Now, the reason that we run these talents is because Death from Above is our highest single target simming ability. However, as you can see, when you jump up in the air, it does AoE damage as well. Now you can do some really cool combos with this ability, and I think it makes the sub-spec pretty fun. It is a bit annoying this tier on Kingaroth and other fights where it puts you into awkward positions and might kill you sometimes. But with smart decision making, this should be the talent that you run every single time. Honestly, if you're not taking this talent, you may as well be playing Assassination on some fights. Now, the rest of them you can play around with a little bit yourself, but you can see that they just work really nicely together and just give a lot of flat damage increases, which obviously this spec is all about. We've got roughly 3 to 4 on-demand damage increases that make our burst potential insane. So for best in slot legendaries at the moment, we're going to be running the First of the Dead, and we're going to be running Mantle of the Master Assassin. Now, this legendary, you're going to be running for all scenarios. It's just really, really good with your burst potential. And First of the Dead has just pulled ahead of the braces ever since Koth has been devalued over time. However, you can still run the braces, either of the rings for single target, and you should be running the cape for AoE situations. Now, determining when you want to be using this cape is when the ads do want to be dying. So you want to be using the right legendaries for the situations. If the ads are dying a little too quickly and you're falling a little bit behind on boss DPS, just don't use them. So for stats, single target, we're going to see that versatility is going to be our best, followed by mastery, agility, and crit, all fairly close together. You're going to see in my gear that I actually have a whopping 14k mastery, whereas my versatility is only about 6k. So if you get your versatility higher than your mastery, they might flip around, so just go off Simcraft for now. For AoE, we're actually going to see that haste goes a little bit lower, and that versatility and agility go even higher. because using our cape, these are the things that make our cape do a lot more damage in AoE scenarios, and using Vanish, Symbols of Death, Shadow Dance, and certain trinkets, we can see that our damage is going to be skyrocketing in AoE situations. So for single target trinkets, we want to be running the Spectre of Betrayal and the Golgoneth's Vitality. Now, there are going to be other trinkets that are pretty close. We're going to know that Seeping Scourgewing is a fairly good pure single target trinket. However, I really do like the Spectre of Betrayal because it gives really good on-demand damage. Now, on Kingaroth, you're going to see every single log has this trinket just because the damage to the adds is really important, and you get extra damage to them in the time window. So if you use your Vanish, Symbols, Shadow Dance, Nightblade, and this, you're just going to be doing disgusting damage in a burst window. So for AoE situations, the good trinkets include Umbral Moonglaves, Forge Fiend's Fabricator, and Stat Sticks. Now, these two, they're a little bit awkward to use together. However, I recommend using Umbral Moonglaves about 3 seconds before popping your Vanish, so that you get the huge burst of damage at the end of the cast. On top of this, I recommend putting your Forge Fiend's Fabricator into a macro, so you can use it with all of your damage increasing abilities and just do some really good burst AoE damage on a frequent timer. Last thing that I'm going to note about our gear is that we're going to be running 2 set from TOS and we're going to be running 2 set from Antoros. Now, what this is going to allow us to do is to have a pretty low cooldown on our Symbols of Death, just like we had in TOS. However, you're going to see that you'll have higher eye level on your Antoros pieces, and if you just run the old 4 set, that's fine as well, as long as you have mythic pieces. So our symbol combo goes as follows. We're going to use our Shadow Strike, and then we're going to apply a Nightblade. Now we're going to use our Symbols of Death into a Backstab, and then we're going to Death from Above into a Shadow Dance, double Shadow Strike into an Eviscerate. Now, once all this is done, we want to be using our Nightblade to reapply if it goes off. Now, this is the simple damage combo that's going to allow you to just burst down targets really easily, and you might even want to save 5 or 6 combo points just to put Nightblade on the target before you swap over to it. Now, there's a slight difference in our opener when we have Lust and when we don't, simply due to RNG. Now, if we do not have Lust, we want to be using our Gormor's Bite in our opener just to make sure that we have enough damage to execute our full combo right at the start of the fight. However, with Lust, you'll find that you need to use this slightly later as our energy regen is higher. So without Lust, our opener is going to look something like this. And obviously, you just wouldn't use your Gormor's Bite in the opener. You would just use the other Shadow Strike as you would have enough energy. So now we're going to reapply our Nightblade. We're going to use our Symbols and go straight back into it again. Pretty simple, but it takes a little bit of practice. So the next little tip that I'm going to help you guys out with today involves AoE in both Mythic Plus and AoE fights in Antoros. Now, there's actually some macros that really help with this. For example, we're going to be looking at my damage macro for AoE. Now, what this does is it allows us to cast Shadow Dance, Vanish, and Symbols of Death at the same time. Now, if you know that adds are coming up in 3 seconds, what you want to do is you want to use your Umbral Moonglaves, you want to reapply your Nightblade to your primary target, and then as soon as the ad comes up, you use this and then you slam in a Shuriken Storm. Now this is going to allow you to do the most damage with this initial Shuriken Storm, which as you can see is buffed by our cloak, and this is going to mean that, you know, you go from about 1 million DPS maybe to about 10 million DPS on a fight like Antor and High Command. Now, this is a really fun thing that I found out from Nebran in their logs from KJ, and I've been using it ever since. So that just about wraps up my video for Antorus the Burning Throne Subtlety Rogue. Now, I'm going to be making some more guides on how to be playing Mythic Plus, and if you want any questions, maybe you don't have the hands, maybe you don't have the tier set, just let me know and I'll try answer any questions that I can. Thanks for watching guys, and I hope you have a good day.